Take one. My name is Ulrike. I am co-founder and co-CEO at Rrreefs, where we rebuild coral reefs. I'm originally from academia, so I'm a microbial oceanographer. I did a PhD. I then worked in academia, but I really wanted to have a more direct impact on our world and on the ecosystem ocean that I was studying. When reefs started dying at a really big scale, 2016-17, one of the global bleaching events, that kind of was a wake-up call for me to start founding my own company and start acting directly. Coral reefs are currently dying at an unprecedented rate, and one driver of that is climate change. But there are a lot of other equally important drivers almost. One is overfishing, but also just pressure from agricultural runoff, so blooming of algae that then compete with reefs. And taking all of that together has just been too much stress for corals. It's the coral animal that dies, especially when it's stressed by, say, high nutrients and high temperature together. The corals turn white and then they start dying. And after that living animal dies, the underlying reef structure, that three-dimensional framework, which is made from calcium carbonate, limestone, starts breaking down. And that's when the natural recovery is really broken in some cases, and we can come in and rebuild that three-dimensional structure. We've developed a system that works like Lego, made of 3D printed clay bricks that can restore both the physical properties of a damaged reef area, the hydrodynamics, and its immense biodiversity. You can imagine after, say, maybe it's not a nice picture, but after a city has been bombed, what we do is we rebuild the entire city, including all the infrastructure, so that all the life can move back in on day one. And that creates a resilience by having a lot of different species of animals coming back around the same time. We get a better stability of the ecosystem. More specifically, how the structure works is that it has a surface that allows young corals, coral larvae, they're very tiny, to settle by favoring hydrodynamic conditions, but also favoring material conditions. And it has a lot of cavities that allow all those other animals, crayfish, young fish, but also sea urchins, and whatever you can imagine, to come in and find a new home. And then they start working together to make the ecosystem work. And it then developed into this easy-to-use Lego system. And the reason for that is specifically that a lot of the reef areas are remote. You can't access with big ships or cranes, so we needed something that can be carried by people. It had to be easy to stack, so we can train people easy to do the work and not us having to come in every time. And those were kind of the design principles in the beginning. And it had to be one module that can be industrial produced, but can be stacked into an infinite number of shapes. Reaching 1% of the coastal reefs, that's about 700 kilometers of coastline that we aim to restore with some sort of a functioning reef in the next 10 years. That's obviously a huge scale. And one important aspect for us this year, next year, is really cutting the costs. We're on a good track to do that. And it's very important to make it competitive at some point with concrete wave breakers, because then that's when the governments will start coming in. My big dream of impact is that we can employ a lot more fantastic people soon and quickly to just make this company as big as it should be, to have all the expertise that we need to develop this into wave breakers, for example. That's a big thing in my mind, because I think as we bridge that gap to making it stable enough so that it can act as wave breakers everywhere, that's when it can become really big very quickly.